Good afternoon, guys. Just checking my hair. So, today's episode, as you can see behind me, I have some concrete. The gutters finally came in at Home Depot. So I'm going to be putting up the gutters and starting on the little outside part of the shed here where the ramp is going to be. And also the repositioning of this post here. So what is going to end up happening is I'm actually going to move this post in. So it's going to end up being like, I don't know, like right here. And it's going to be a 4x6. So once I do the little slab section on the ground and then the ramp, then the post will get relocated. So I don't know if all that will happen on this episode or not, but the main thing will be the gutters and then the cement slab. So thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Please like and subscribe. Let's get to it. So all of the vinyl gutters, they're pretty simple how they assemble. You know, you have some end cap pieces, you have some supports, and these are actually what they call the hidden supports. So this goes inside the gutter actually, and then you have a screw hole there at the top where you screw it into the wall. Got some stainless steel screws, and then this is the drain piece. So the drain piece has little attachments to go into the wall as well. And then I have two pieces of the vinyl. These are 10 foot long. I'm obviously only going to need about 15 feet probably for what the overhang on the roof is. So it'll get cut down and then I'll just have a little spare piece. Oh boy, dog's whining about the neighbor's dog. So anyway, yeah, this is pretty inexpensive. I think for all of these vinyl parts was maybe less than 50 bucks. So not too bad. So the gutter is basically going to start right at the end here, and I'm going to use one 10-foot section, and wherever that 10-foot section ends is where I'm going to put the dropout, because I don't want to do one little cut up section to extend where the dropout is. So it'll probably end up being somewhere right around here, and from there I'll basically just use PVC and I'll run it over to the corner, and then it's going to drop down from there. And then we plan to get like a rain barrel right here, and then this will be water that we can use for watering plants and whatnot. And then there will be a small section on this side that will meet up with the drain section as well. And you can see on my planter box, there's a line in here where the rain is dripping down. So that's why I want to get this gutter up, stop that from happening. So yeah, let's get to it. All right, so I had to pull this end cap off, and these pieces actually slide in from the end, which I could have done it from the other side, but that's how they go on. So they slide in around this little lip and around this lip, and then that's what holds it. So I'll put this back on, and I'll slide the other ones on from the other end. And then once they're all slid on there and I start putting this up, then I'll just measure the distance that I want them to go, basically about every 2 feet. You can put them more or less, but the more support you have, the better the gutter's going to perform. So I have my clamps up there. I'll put this one in place. Just to kind of set it up there. And then when you're doing this, you have to keep in mind that you're going to want there to be a downward slope towards where the drain is. So this section I will put a little bit higher or closer to the roof line. And then where I go down to where the drain is, it's going to be dropped down 1/2 inch to 1 inch. All right, so what I'm going to do now basically is just measure from the one that I installed, go 2 feet, do the next one, 2 feet, do the next one, 2 feet, do the next one. And then the drain piece will fit in on the end down there. All right, so now I'm getting ready to put the drain piece on, and as you can see, there's no seal on the drain piece. So I'm going to run a small bead of silicone on the inside of here, and then I'm going to slide it. The gutter actually slides into this, and then I'm going to make sure that when I screw it in that it's fairly level. That's why I have the level up there. And of course it's starting to rain, so I guess this is good timing. The drain pipe section is there, so basically what I need to do now is just measure this, figure out what my distance is, and then cut this piece. Sorry for the crazy angle. Cut this piece, put the end cap on. I'm going to silicone that edge and then put that piece up. All right, so that was pretty quick and easy. See the gutters up all the way down. You can actually see water draining. If you see right there, the drips. So I did not get PVC, so I'll have to do that on my next trip to Home Depot. But basically what is going to happen is there's going to be a 90 here and then a PVC that's going to go over to this corner. There will be another 90 and then it'll come down from there. So it'll probably end up coming across basically from the drain. I'll have a hanger on this rafter joist right here, and then on that one over there, and then there will be a 90 where it'll come down the wall. All right, so temporarily I just did this. Yes, I know it's pretty janky looking, but like I said, it's just temporary because I don't want it just pouring tons of water into my new bed. So it's all done. The next thing I'm going to get started on is going to be building the form here, digging this out, and then preparing this for cement as well as this side. So the way that I'm going to do this is I'm going to build the forms and pour each side of the doorway. And then once those are done, I pull the forms off. Then I will do a form at the bottom here, and then these will already have the sides of concrete. And then I will do this section that'll actually be the ramp. So it'll be kind of in 3 parts. Okay, that's just pointless in recording that. This is just all hard packed rock, so it's gonna take me a while to dig all that out, so I'm just gonna do it off camera. All right, so I have this area dug out pretty well. You can see there's like a lot of, decent sized rocks in there. They were all just kind of locked together, so that was kind of a pain in the ass to dig up. I don't need this to be super deep. Basically, I'm going to take my 2x8s, which I actually used on the form on this side, and I'm going to cut that up, and it's basically going to come out this way and then come across about 1 foot to maybe 1.5 feet, and then it's going to angle slightly up to where the doorway is. So it's not going to be a rectangle here. It'll be kind of a, I don't know, a rhombus or whatever, trapezoid. Anyway, that's going to be the shape of it. And then on this side, it's going to end up being similar, but this one's not as deep because this side of the slab was only 4 inches. So this one I'm going to bring out also from the doorway. It's going to come out, and this will maybe come out about 2 feet, 2 to 3 feet. And then I think I'm going to kind of angle it in a little bit, and then it's going to go back. And then the ramp will actually be slightly angled as well once all this is done. Because ultimately, once the garage is built and we get a driveway here, this is going to have concrete. So this will eventually get filled in, and there will be a driveway that wraps around the shed that goes to the garage. So I'm just trying to make it so that it's easy enough to match up and piece together, and it's not going to look super weird like once all that gets done. So I think it'll be good. So the next step is going to be making the forms for this side. All right, so that is the rough shape of the form. I need to, I'm going to get it pinned in along this side, at least 2 pins, so that I can square this up so it's straight with the shed. Once that side's squared up, I'll square up this side, and then from there we'll adjust this. All right, so I got this thing pinned and it's pretty level. Doesn't have to be super precise. This is, for the most part, just decorative. This corner out here, though, will be supporting the beam. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be filling up this center portion. Probably a good 4 to 5 inches of gravel, and I'm going to bag it so that I'll have a sidewall, and then I will have basically a support beam of concrete all the way around, and then this corner is going to be completely full because that's where the anchor is going to go for the new beam that's going to go in. All right, so what I'm going to do on this part is I'm going to take plastic and I'm going to use that to basically build up the walls inside this form. So you'll kind of see how it happens as I'm doing it. I'm going to just do it in a time lapse. So I learned this, which I'm sure this is probably, something that all people that do concrete and foundations do. But basically the way that they build up, if you're doing a big pier foundation or any kind of a big foundation, and this is a super small example, but you don't want to fill like an 8x8 footer for a house or whatever you're building, like a porch. And if it's 4 feet deep, let's say, you're not going to fill that all with concrete because it's going to be super expensive. So what they do is they take gravel inside of plastic and they build up the sidewalls, and they basically put a block inside of where the form is, and then that takes up the majority of the space. So all you end up really pouring is the 4-inch border and then the 4-inch top or whatever it ends up being. In this case, the top of this is probably only going to end up being 2 to 3 inches because, like I said, this is pretty much just decorative. So I'll get to the time lapse. You guys can see what I'm talking about. All right, this side is pretty much done. And I pretty much just used the rocks and stuff that I dug out of this spot to fill this back up. So when they do this professionally, it of course is a lot nicer looking, but they're using gravel, and it's usually a much bigger space. So they'll lay out a strip of plastic that runs, the entire length, let's say. They'll fill it with a few inches of gravel, they'll fold over the top, and then they'll do another layer of plastic, another layer of gravel, and they'll just keep building that up as high as they need to. And as these layers get filled, they go to the inside, then they'll fill the inside, bring it up to level, and then they'll keep continuing as high as they need to go. Okay, so I've started digging out this side, so you can kind of start to get the shape of how this is going to be. So there's a slight taper on this side, and there's a slight taper on this side for the ramp. This side's going to end up being a little more tricky because the slab on this end is only 4 inches, and where the bottom of the ramp was going to be is going to be about 4 inches. Because like I was saying, eventually when we, this gets connected to where the driveway is. And then, side note, another thing is we're saving up money because we want to get concrete poured in the carport. So that's going to be something coming up soon too. Yes, I know, instead of doing it on the garage, it's cheaper to do this part now, and then we'll eventually get to that part. Anyway, this here is going to end up having maybe only about an inch or so lip, maybe 1.5 inches, somewhere around there, from where the bottom of the ramp ends up being. So this ramp is it's gonna be weird just because this is on a slope. Once the concrete is done, it'll look all normal and everything, but this side here is gonna end up being pretty close to where the slope of the ramp is all I'm saying. So I'm gonna start to get this framed up now, and then once this one's framed up, I should be able to start mixing cement and pour these. And I don't know if that's gonna happen today or not. It might end up being another day, but we'll see. All right, so this side is done. Screwed together, pinned, and I will probably end up throwing a few rocks in here, but this one is already, that's a 2x4 on the end there. This was a 2x6 that was cut down a little bit. So this was just old. This was actually the forms that I used for the slab. I just repurposed them. No point in buying new stuff. I just used the old stuff. All right, that side's done. I gotta let it set up a little bit, and then I'll work more on smoothing it out and edging. So now I'm gonna get started on this one. So for that one, I used about 2 bags and probably half a wheelbarrow full of aggregate. So I'm gonna get started on the next batch. All right, so this is setting up nicely. As you can see, I have the edging done on this one already. It's pretty close to where I'm going to brush it. So basically I'll just run a broom across it very lightly just to put some ridges in there. But this one's pretty close. This one here is probably about 30, maybe 40 minutes behind that one. So this one's still kind of wet. I tried doing a little bit of edging, but as you can see, it's still kind of sloppy. So I gotta wait for this one to set up a little bit more, and then I will do the edging and everything on this one. But yeah, they're looking good. Turned out nice. And then this one, of course, there's a good 8 to 10 inches of solid concrete here before it goes to that little raised section that I made. So this is where the 4x6 will go, get mounted right in this corner, and then it'll go up right about where this 45 comes up, somewhere in there. So this pole is going to get removed, and this is going to be extending out. That should be more than enough strength because this whole beam is now attached to the shed, so it's not really going anywhere. I'd be willing to bet that I could probably remove this post and have nothing there and it would probably still hold, but I want to put that post in there just because, just to be sure. And then also I'm going to be putting a piece of the vinyl lattice in here. So basically the way that I space this off is where the post is going to be 4 feet out. So we're going to put a piece of the vinyl lattice here, kind of extending the carport wall. And then we want to put some kind of viney flower type plant here that'll grow up that lattice and, you know, look nice and smell nice. Maybe something like jasmine, or I don't know. Got to figure that out. Oh, also I decided to park my FJ in the garage. Looks pretty good over there. Now I just need a garage around it. Okay, so we are all done. This is all edged up. It's brushed. That side is edged up and brushed. So everything looks good for now. And in the morning I'll pull these forms off. Had a little bit of a rainstorm come through, so I threw this tarp up real quick just so that it didn't get rained on. Got a little bit of rain on that one over there, but I was able to clean it back up again because it had drops, the raindrops in it. But everything looks good now, and hopefully it'll stay dry for the next hour or two, and then this will all get firmed up. Okay, next day, I got the forms off, and these things are looking pretty good. I think I'm a professional concrete guy now. Just kidding. But they do look good. So now basically what's going to happen is I'll dig this line across here, and then there will be a 2x4 that goes across. I'm going to try to make it as level as I can, but I want to get it a little bit below this corner so that the ramp will actually slope down on this side as well, and there will be, you know, a good division between that slab, this slab, and this slab. So yeah, I'll have to get that 2x4 across there, clean this out. I'm going to build it up a little bit with some gravel, and then it'll be time to mix and pour concrete. All right, I have this area prepped. I dug this out. I built up a little bit of cinder here, cinder and gravel. I have my 2x4 there, but it's kind of been, I don't know, it looks like it's starting to clear up now, but it's been pretty rainy. So I think I'm going to hold off on concrete for right now, and then I'm going to work on getting the 4x6 mounted in here, and then start work on getting putting the lattice piece in. And then I also got some stuff for the gutter, so I can start working on getting that done properly. I got another one of these anchor plates assemblies for the 4x6, so I need to figure out my location there. And then I also got some of the top plates, so these will go up here, similar to the one that's on this 4x4. Basically attaches the top of the 4x6 to the beam. So now I just need to figure out my location, drill the hole for the anchor, and then install it. Okay, this might be a little difficult for me to film, but basically what I'm doing is I'm taking this board, I'm running it from there up to there, and then I'm checking the level, and it's actually almost right on. So where I mapped out the concrete there is really close actually. So you take that off, and then the other determining factor is my 4x8 sheet of lattice is going to come out here 48 inches. So you can see that's right there. So, and then the remaining 6 inches is what I measured out for the 4x6. So my bracket here is going to need to get basically mounted right in this corner. Is going to be perfect. So that's pretty much how I mapped it out when I did this section of concrete. So I'm going to mark it, and then I'll get this hole drilled. All right, my anchor plate is mounted. Now I have to remove this 45, take a measurement, and then I'll get my 4x6 cut and get it in place, and then get everything nailed. All right, the support is all done. I put a 45 in there, and I also added the trim pieces. So this is basically the kind of the box frame that my lattice is going to attach to. So the next step is going to be to paint everything. And of course I'm going to do that off camera. All right, so finally have a nice sunny day. So I'm going to get started on this center piece of concrete, center section, and get that done. And I got the first coat of paint on here, so I'm just about ready to put the lattice in. I got to do another coat of paint on that. Oh, that was pretty much a disaster. I guess it was dumb of me to think that it was going to stay sunny. I don't know. Total downstorm, downpour, right in the middle of trying to put this slab in. I don't know if I'm going to be able to save it or not. I guess I'll see. The rain's kind of slowed down now. It's still really lightly sprinkling. I don't know. I'll see if I can save this or not. All right. It seems to be setting up okay. The end down here, though, is still really soft because that was getting the most rain on it. I ended up putting a tarp up because it just continued to rain off and on. And then, of course, I didn't get the ramp all the way up to the level. So I'll probably have to, I'll use like Quickcrete or something, and I'll do a small little bevel there, just so that there's an actual ramp. Because right now there's a lip about 2 inches. I don't know if it's, I guess maybe it's kind of hard to tell on this angle. So I'm going to continue working this bottom part and wait for it to firm up a little bit more, and this corner especially, because all the water was just pooling over here. So I think it's gonna be okay though. All right, so it's the next day. So you can see I got the forms pulled off and this is set up. It actually turned out okay, you know, other than it not going up to the door threshold like I wanted it to. Other than that, everything else, you know, went to plan, I guess. So that's done. And I got another coat of paint on this. So now I'm ready to put the piece of lattice in this opening. Yeah, looks nice. So like I was saying, eventually we're going to put a planter here with some kind of a vining flower. So hopefully it'll grow up this lattice and fill it out. And then we'll have, you know, flowers or something on there. Still got to figure out what we're going to put. I guess I'll let my wife pick that out. But yeah, that's done. Cement is done. All right, guys. Well, I think I'm going to go ahead and call that a wrap on the shed. That is pretty much everything that I needed to do still is done now. The only thing is the drain. I still got to do the drain line for the gutter. I'll do that, you know, sometime down the road. Home Depot is out of the 3-inch PVC, so whenever it's in, I'll do that. But I mean, that's a pretty simple, you know, just a couple 90s and run it down the wall. But that is going to bring this series to a close. I think this was episode 9, right? Yeah, so the shed is done, it's built. I do have some minor painting left, as you can see up there on some of the rafters and purlins. I do have some painting left there, but otherwise, you know, the ramp is done, the slab pieces are done, the lattice, the new posts, the majority of everything is painted, gutter. So yeah, that is going to be a wrap on this series for the shed build. And I just want to say thanks, guys, for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for following along. If this is the first episode you're seeing, then go back. There's, you know, you can see how I built this, you know, all the way from the beginning. So check it out. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next video. Aloha.